Confused by your company's stock compensation plan? Don't feel bad. Most people we talk to are, and these things are almost designed to be confusing. Here's a quick video, 3 simple tips to maximize value in your stock compensation plan. The most important question you need to answer: what are you entitled to through the compensation plan? There's a litany of options: RSUs, PSUs, options, bonuses. The reason you're going to want to unpack what you actually own is because it will change how the tax works, how the cash flow that you need to come up with works, and your flexibility around changing your exposure if you want to diversify away from your company stock. For example, on an RSU, you might receive that in cash or stock. You're going to want to know, if you take it in cash, is the company withheld the tax, or are you responsible for paying that tax? And are you going to have the cash to pay that tax when the tax bill comes along? Options might be in the money, you want to exercise them, but you're going to need to have the cash to pay those options. So again, there are these cash flow timing considerations that you need to understand with the specific instrument that you have entitlement to, and tax considerations. The last is, of course, exposure, and let's dive into that in a bit more detail, because the biggest decision you need to make is how much company exposure you're going to maintain. This is a personal decision. There are no right answers. The future is uncertain, so no one knows whether you're holding more of your company stock is going to really benefit you or hurt you. It can be thought of usually under a framework of percentage of your assets that are in the company stock versus other investment assets. As long as you understand the risks, there's pros and cons to doing it both ways. I would say my one comment is you really have more exposure to the company than you probably think, because you need to account for the present value of the future contributions that you're going to be earning and getting access to as you have a 5, 10, 15, 20-year life at this company. So keep that in mind, that you probably own a little bit more than you think. And you should also have your other investments factor into how you're thinking about that. So if you've got a large position in one individual stock, your company, then maybe you want to have a diversified strategy outside of that sector, outside of that country, and probably more diversified to kind of augment that strategy that you've taken on with your company stock. Here are big tips. Seems simple, but login and statements. These sites that house these statements and reporting of what you own get very messy, and the longer your tenure with the company goes on, the worse they get. In order to make good decisions, you're going to need good information. Whether you're doing it yourself or working with some sort of advisor, they're going to need to know exactly what you own and exactly what the tax, cash flow, and flexibility mechanisms are within those instruments. The second one that's super important is just building out a vesting schedule. You want to visualize how the compensation is going to play out in the future. When do the options vest versus when are the RSUs hitting? What is the commitment for cash flow or tax? Where are you exposing yourself to potential upside or downside within the strategy? And of course, you want to have a system ahead of time in place for getting you to that target weight of your company stock versus a diversified portfolio. The best way to do this is just to make it mechanical. So exactly on that date, those triggers happen. 20% of the stock is sold, 80% remains, the tax bill is put away, the cash flow is set aside. That sort of thing. Don't leave it to the day that decision has to be made. Set it up in advance under a cool and level head, thinking about process and what you want it to look like long term. The last thing for you to consider is just really probably definitely the most efficient way to do this is through financial planning software. This stuff gets complicated fast, and errors can be very, very costly. You want to think of your financial life as these connected levers, and your big lever in your overall situation is your company stock compensation. So you want to make sure it's working in tandem like a symphony with your tax, your other cash flows, and your other asset allocation decisions. There's a lot of efficiencies to be had, and software can really help you with that. That's it for me. I hope this has been helpful. Please share it with friends and family if you think they could find it useful. And please reach out if you do have any questions or concerns. We work with this stuff all the time and are more than happy to help.